Unveiling the Now, the Pathway to True Presence. Welcome, dear listener, to a deep exploration of the greatest power available to us, the power of now. This moment, right here, holds the key to spiritual awakening, a transformative journey not into a far-off land or through complex rituals, but into the very essence of our being. The concept of now is simple yet profound. It is the only reality we ever experience directly. Everything else, our memories of the past, our plans for the future, are merely thoughts occurring in the present. Yet, how often do we truly live in the present moment? How often do we let the beauty and richness of the now fill our consciousness? I invite you to consider how much of your day is spent being truly present. It's quite a revelation to see that much of our mental energy is devoted to replaying past events or anticipating the future. While these activities can be useful, they often become habitual loops that disconnect us from the fullness of life as it is happening. This disconnection is what veils our spiritual awakening. Living in the now is not about abandoning our responsibilities or ignoring the past. Instead, it's about aligning ourselves so fully with the present moment that we become acutely aware of our life's unfolding. In this state of heightened awareness, we notice more, we appreciate more, and we respond to life with more clarity, compassion, and wisdom. To begin harnessing the power of now, start with your breath. Breathing is a miraculous function, a bridge between body and mind, always available to bring you back to the present. Notice your breath as it enters and leaves your body. Feel its rhythm and texture. Is it not remarkable that something so vital to life happens mostly without our conscious effort? Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons. Now let's shift our focus to our senses. What do you hear right now? Perhaps my voice, but what beyond that? Maybe the subtle hum of your device, the distant chirping of birds, or the gentle rustle of leaves. Each sound anchors you in the now. What do you see? Even if your eyes are closed, there might be patterns or colors on the back of your eyelids. If your eyes are open, observe the play of light and shadow, the movement around you. Sight is another gateway to the present. Touch is another powerful ally. Feel the device in your hand, the air on your skin, the texture of your clothes. Each sensation is a dialogue with the world. By engaging our senses like this, we anchor ourselves in the now. This simple practice cuts through the noise of mind chatter, bringing clarity and peace. This peace is your natural state, the backdrop against which the drama of life unfolds. Yet why do we so often feel disconnected from this peace? It is because the mind, wonderful as it is, also has the habit of pulling us out of the present into the endless what-ifs and if-onlys. This leads to a crucial question. What might change if you didn't believe every thought that crossed your mind? How might your experience of life deepen if you observed your thoughts rather than identifying with them? To explore this, try viewing your thoughts as you would clouds in the sky. They appear, they morph, they pass. You are the sky, vast, open, unaffected by the passing clouds. This detachment from thought does not mean disengagement from life. On the contrary, it invites a deeper engagement, one that is rooted in reality rather than narrative. When we are not entangled in our thoughts, we approach life with freshness and vitality. We meet each person, each situation, with openness and curiosity. In your interactions, observe if you are truly listening or just waiting to speak. Are you seeing the person in front of you, or are you seeing your thoughts about the person? Every interaction offers a rich opportunity to practice presence. To deepen this practice, consider the role of acceptance. Acceptance does not mean resignation or giving up. Rather, it means recognizing and embracing what is without resistance. When we resist what is, we create conflict, and conflict is the antithesis of the now. But when we accept, we align ourselves with the flow of life. We are not passively enduring life, but actively participating in it, with an attitude of openness and willingness. Imagine living each day with such acceptance. How might it change the way you respond to challenges? How might it affect your relationships? How might it transform your experience of life? Each moment of now is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life. By living in the now, you are not just existing, you are alive, fully, deeply, truly alive. Let's pause here, take a deep breath, and when you're ready, I will guide you into the next part of our exploration. Please say continue when you are ready to move on. Harnessing silence, the reservoir of inner wisdom. As we continue our journey into the profound realms of the now, let us turn our attention to a powerful ally often overlooked: silence. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is a profound presence, a space of potential and peace that exists within each of us. It is in this quietude that we can connect more deeply with our inner selves and the essence of life. Think about the last time you experienced true silence. It might have been during a quiet morning walk or late at night when the world seemed to pause. Recall the quality of that silence. There was likely a depth to it, a sense of expansiveness. Silence has this unique quality of opening us up, of deepening our connection with the present moment and with ourselves. But silence is not always external. The most transformative silence is the one we cultivate within. Inner silence is about quieting the incessant chatter of the mind. It's about finding a space where thoughts no longer dominate our awareness. This practice is not about forcefully suppressing thoughts, but gently letting them pass, returning again and again to a state of inner quietude. Now, you might wonder how one can cultivate such inner silence, especially in the midst of a busy, noisy world. The first step is to create intentional spaces of silence in your daily life. It could be a few minutes in the morning before the day begins, or a quiet pause between activities. During these times, simply sit and allow yourself to be with the silence. Notice the thoughts that arise, but do not engage with them. Let them come and go, like waves on the shore. As you practice this, you will notice something profound. The spaces between thoughts grow wider and deeper. It is in these spaces that insights often arise. Insights about ourselves, our lives, and the nature of reality. These insights do not come as loud, declarative thoughts, but as subtle, intuitive feelings, a knowing that is deeper than words. This brings us to an interesting point about wisdom. True wisdom does not shout, it whispers. In the hustle of daily life, these whispers are easily drowned out by the noise of our own thoughts and the external world. But as you cultivate inner silence, you become more attuned to these whispers. You start to hear the wisdom of your own deeper self, which knows far more than the analytical mind. Consider this. How many of your important life decisions have been made not through painstaking analysis, but through a clear, quiet knowing? This knowing is available to us all the time, but it requires silence to be heard. Another aspect of cultivating silence is learning to be comfortable with it. For many, silence can initially feel uncomfortable, even anxiety-provoking. We are so used to noise and constant stimulation that silence feels like an emptiness that needs to be filled. But as we become more accustomed to silence, we realize that it is not empty at all. It is full of life, teeming with potential. In silence, we also confront ourselves, our true selves, not the personas we project to the world. This can be challenging but incredibly rewarding. In the silence, you meet yourself with all your fears, hopes, and truths. Embracing this encounter can lead to profound self-acceptance and self-awareness. Now let us consider the impact of silence on our interactions with others. Imagine listening to someone not just with the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand, to connect. When you listen from a place of silence, you hear not just the words but the emotions, the unspoken needs. This kind of listening can transform relationships. Moreover, silence enhances our appreciation of beauty, the subtle beauty that might otherwise go unnoticed. In a state of silence, the simple becomes magnificent. A leaf fluttering to the ground, the play of light on water, the quiet breathing of a sleeping child. Life is rich with beauty when we are silent enough to appreciate it. As we conclude this part of our journey, I invite you to embrace silence, not just as a practice but as a way of being. Let it permeate your days, enrich your relationships, and deepen your understanding of who you are. Take a moment now to breathe, to feel the silence around and within you. When you are ready to explore further, to dive deeper into the essence of presence and how it transforms us, please say, "Continue." The dance of acceptance and change, embracing life's dynamism. In our exploration of the now, we have encountered the power of presence and the profundity of silence. Now let us delve into a dynamic and essential aspect of living in the present, the intricate dance between acceptance and change. This interplay is fundamental to not only how we experience life, but also how we grow and evolve within it. Acceptance, in its essence, is about acknowledging reality as it is. It's a recognition of the present moment's conditions without resistance or denial. This might sound simple, but it is one of the most challenging practices to maintain. Often our minds rebel against this acceptance, especially if the present reality is not to our liking. We struggle, we resist, we wish things were different. However, this resistance creates suffering, not because of the situation itself, but because of our non-acceptance of it. Let's consider how acceptance can actually be a profound source of power. When you accept something, you are not wasting energy fighting it. You are not lost in a narrative of denial or complaint. This frees up tremendous energy, which can then be directed towards constructive change. Acceptance does not mean passivity. Rather, it provides a stable foundation from which action can arise, action that is informed, deliberate, and effective. Now, juxtapose this with the concept of change. Change is the essence of life. Everything is in constant flux, evolving and transforming. To live fully in the now, we must not only accept the present moment but also embrace the inevitability of change. This requires flexibility, an openness to adapt and flow with life's ever-changing circumstances. But how do we balance acceptance with the desire or need to make changes? This balance is not about finding a rigid middle ground, but about moving fluidly between these states, knowing when to embrace things as they are and when to use the energy of the present moment to initiate change. Consider a tree. It stands firm, rooted in acceptance of its place in the world, yet it constantly adapts, grows, and changes with the seasons. Like the tree, can we stand firm in our acceptance of what is, while also reaching towards what could be? This dance between acceptance and change is particularly relevant when we face personal challenges or societal issues. In personal growth, acceptance allows us to see ourselves clearly, our strengths and our limitations. This clear vision is the starting point for any genuine change. If we are in denial about our faults or our wounds, we cannot heal or improve. But once we accept these aspects of ourselves, we are well positioned to change in ways that align with our deepest values and aspirations. In societal contexts, acceptance can help us see the reality of the situation without the distortion of intense emotions or bias. This clear seeing is crucial for effective action. Anger or despair may spur us initially, but they are not sustainable fuels. They burn out or cause burnout. When we accept the reality of a situation, our actions to change it can be sustained over the long term, grounded in a deep understanding and commitment. Now think about the areas in your life where you might be resisting acceptance. What are you denying or fighting against? How might your experience change if you accepted these aspects fully, not as an end in themselves, but as a starting point for growth? Conversely, consider areas where you might be too passive, mistaking acceptance for resignation. Where might there be opportunities for change that you haven't embraced because it's easier to remain as you are? This inquiry into acceptance and change is not just philosophical, it's deeply practical. It affects how we feel, how we act, and how we relate to others every day. It shapes our very experience of life. As we wrap up this part of our exploration, reflect on the dance of acceptance and change in your life. How can you become more like the tree, firmly rooted yet continuously growing and adapting? Take a moment to reflect on these ideas. Breathe deeply, feel your presence in the now, and when you feel ready, we will move on to explore how presence transforms our understanding of time itself. Please say "continue" when you are ready to proceed. Beyond time, experiencing the eternal now. Having explored the realms of silence and the dynamic interplay between acceptance and change, we now journey into the profound concept of time, or, more specifically, how presence allows us to transcend the conventional understanding of time and experience the eternal now. Time, as we typically understand it, is linear, a continuous progression from past through present to future. This linear view dominates our daily lives. We schedule, plan, and reminisce, constantly moving between memories of the past and anticipations of the future. However, this habitual movement often takes us away from the present moment, the only time where life truly occurs. Eckhart Tolle famously described the present moment as all we ever have. The past is a memory trace and the future, a projection. They are thoughts happening in the now. This perspective invites us to question the reality of time as something that exists independently of our mental processes. If we look closely, we find that what we call time is made up of moments, now and now and now, none of which can be held at bay or revisited once past. To experience the eternal now, one must fully immerse oneself in the present moment, acknowledging that each moment is all there is. This does not mean we ignore planning for the future or learning from the past, but we do so rooted in the present, fully engaged with the task or thought at hand. Here's an exercise to try. Sit quietly and focus on your breathing. Notice each inhale and exhale. Each breath happens in the now. The breath you took a minute ago is gone. The breath you will take a minute from now does not exist yet. There is only this breath happening now. This practice brings you back to the present, helping you see that life unfolds in the continuous presence of now. When you start living with this recognition, several transformative things happen. First, you reduce the anxiety and worry that come from focusing on the future or dwelling on the past. Both are often sources of stress. By focusing on the present, you engage with life as it is, not as you fear it might be or wish it had been. Second, this focus enhances your ability to act effectively. Actions taken in the present are grounded in reality, not clouded by past prejudices or future anxieties. This clarity often results in better decisions and more thoughtful responses to challenges. In relationships, being present allows you to truly listen and connect with others. It frees you from the distractions of your mental narratives and preoccupations, enabling a genuine encounter with another person. This presence can transform relationships, fostering deeper understanding and compassion. Spiritually, the eternal now is often where people report feeling a connection to something greater than themselves, whether they call it God, the universe, consciousness, or nature. This connection arises from the deep awareness that in the now the artificial boundaries we construct between ourselves and the world begin to dissolve. We experience a sense of unity and oneness that is profoundly nurturing. As we conclude this part of our exploration, consider how the understanding of the eternal now might change your perspective on life's challenges and joys. How might it affect your interactions, your work, your creativity? Reflect on these ideas, and when you are ready to delve deeper into how presence can be integrated into daily life, enhancing mindfulness and spiritual connection, please say, continue.